In 1994, South Africa witnessed a historic event that would forever change the course of its history. Nelson Mandela became the first black president after decades of racial segregation, a monumental achievement that resonated around the world. This election marked a massive turning point, a new era for millions who had only known division and oppression. It was a beacon of hope for a nation yearning for unity. An estimated 19.6 million voters cast their ballots, many voting for the first time in their lives. The atmosphere was electric, filled with anticipation and the promise of change. The queues at polling stations snaked for miles, a pilgrimage towards freedom and democracy. People stood for hours, undeterred by the wait, driven by the dream of a better future. Mandela's African National Congress won 62.65% of the vote, a resounding message for change and a clear mandate from the people. It was a triumph of the human spirit. This victory wasn't just political, it symbolized fairness and equality. It was a testament to the power of perseverance and the unyielding belief in justice. The world watched in awe as the apartheid regime crumbled after over 40 years of institutionalized racism and oppression. It was a moment of global significance. Mandela's leadership symbolized resilience and unity, representing the relentless fight for justice. His journey from prisoner to president inspired millions. His election was a victory for everyone who believed in equality and human dignity. It was a moment that transcended borders and touched hearts worldwide. It was a moment when dreams took flight, hopes pinned on a brighter future. The streets were filled with joy, and the air was thick with the promise of a new beginning. The air was filled with disbelief and overwhelming hope. Tears of joy flowed freely as people embraced the dawn of a new era. This was more than a political milestone. It was a victory for humanity. It was a testament to the enduring power of hope, unity, and the unbreakable human spirit. Apartheid, meaning separateness, was a brutal system of racial segregation. Officially implemented in 1948, it enforced white minority rule. People were classified by race, dictating where they could live, work, and even which hospital they could use. Laws like the Group Areas Act and past laws ensured absolute separation. The system was built on racial superiority, maintaining power and control. Understanding this twisted ideology is key to grasping why it lasted so long. It took a monumental struggle to bring it down. Apartheid was woven into daily life, with separate entrances and segregated public transport. Education was starkly unequal, with black children receiving inferior schooling. The Bantu Education Act prepared them for manual labor, not leadership. Healthcare and job opportunities were deeply unequal, with the best reserved for whites. This system entrenched poverty, making it hard for black families to escape disadvantage. Beyond physical separations, the psychological impact was profound. Constantly treated as inferior, people lived in fear and humiliation. Yet, it also fostered resilience and determination to fight for change. The human spirit proved tough to crush, even under such a brutal system. Apartheid created a society filled with resentment but also hope for a better future. From the start, people resisted apartheid through peaceful protests. These early demonstrations were marked by a profound sense of hope and determination, as communities came together to voice their opposition to the oppressive regime. The African National Congress, ANC, founded in 1912, fought for black rights. It became a beacon of hope for many, symbolizing the collective aspirations of a marginalized population yearning for equality and justice. Early activists believed in dialogue and gradual reform. They held the conviction that through persistent and peaceful negotiations, they could dismantle the structures of apartheid. The ANC wasn't alone. Other groups like the Pan-Africanist Congress joined the fight. These organizations brought diverse perspectives and strategies, enriching the resistance movement. The struggle had many voices, focusing on workers' rights, education, and direct challenges to segregation. Each protest and rally added a new layer to the growing chorus demanding change. The government's response was harsh, passing repressive laws and arresting activists. These measures were designed to stifle dissent and maintain the status quo, but they only fueled the fire of resistance. Peaceful protests met with police brutality pushed many to reconsider non-violent means. The violent crackdowns exposed the brutal reality of the apartheid regime to the world. The government closed the door on peaceful opposition, forcing people to consider other options. Activists began to explore more radical approaches as peaceful avenues were systematically shut down. The resistance laid the groundwork for a larger struggle. These early efforts were the seeds from which a broader, more determined movement would grow. It was a collective effort, a chorus of defiance against injustice. People from all walks of life joined hands, united by a common goal. The desire for freedom was widespread, bubbling up from all corners of society. This collective yearning for justice transcended individual differences, creating a powerful and unified front. The path to radical change often starts with moderate steps. These initial acts of defiance set the stage for the more intense and radical actions that would follow, ultimately leading to the dismantling of apartheid. Nelson Mandela's journey from lawyer to global icon began in a rural village in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. Born in 1918, he was part of the Thembu royal family and was given the name Rolihlahla, which means pulling the branch of a tree or troublemaker. He became a lawyer in Johannesburg, fighting injustice through the legal system. Mandela's legal career was marked by his commitment to defending those who were oppressed by the apartheid regime. He co-founded South Africa's first black law firm with Oliver Tambo, providing affordable legal counsel to black South Africans. Mandela joined the ANC in 1944, pushing for assertive action. His involvement with the African National Congress marked the beginning of his lifelong fight against racial segregation and discrimination. He quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a prominent leader and voice for the oppressed. He organized the Defiance Campaign, a non-violent protest against unjust laws. This campaign was a pivotal moment in the struggle against apartheid, mobilizing thousands of South Africans to stand up against the oppressive system. The Sharpeville massacre in 1960 was a turning point, leading to the ANC's ban. The brutal killing of 69 protesters by police forces highlighted the violent nature of the apartheid regime and galvanized international condemnation. Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, the ANC's armed wing, as a last resort. This marked a significant shift in strategy, as Mandela and his comrades believed that armed resistance was necessary to combat the violent oppression they faced. Arrested in 1964, his Rivonia trial speech became legendary. In his speech, Mandela declared his willingness to die for the ideal of a democratic and free society, a statement that resonated deeply with people around the world. Sentenced to life imprisonment, he spent 27 years behind bars. During his time on Robben Island, Mandela endured harsh conditions but remained steadfast in his commitment to justice and equality. Instead of breaking him, prison transformed him into a powerful symbol of freedom. Mandela's resilience and unwavering spirit inspired countless others to continue the fight against apartheid. Mandela's spirit couldn't be extinguished by stone walls and iron bars. His determination and hope became a beacon of light for those who believed in a free and equal South Africa. His journey inspired a global movement for justice. People around the world rallied for his release, and the anti-apartheid movement gained unprecedented international support. He became a living martyr for the struggle against oppression. Mandela's release in 1990 was celebrated globally, and he continued to work tirelessly to dismantle apartheid and build a new democratic South Africa. As news of apartheid's brutality spread, the world took notice. Boycotts driven by ordinary people isolated South Africa. Sports, cultural, and academic boycotts sent a clear message of disapproval. Economic sanctions targeted South Africa's economy, increasing pressure on the regime. The Free Mandela campaign became a global movement, keeping the spotlight on apartheid. Mandela's name and face became symbols of the fight against oppression. Concerts and petitions demanded his release, uniting people across borders. The world was waking up to the moral injustice of apartheid. International pressure played a crucial role in the struggle for change. The apartheid regime felt the pinch as the world stood against it. Mandela's imprisonment highlighted the broader struggle for freedom. By the late 1980s, South Africa faced economic crisis and unrest. President F.W. de Klerk realized apartheid was unsustainable. On February 11, 1990, Mandela was released after 27 years in prison. His release was a symbolic victory, signaling the end of apartheid. Mandela called for continued struggle and reconciliation. Negotiations for a democratic South Africa began, known as CODISA. Leaders from various groups worked towards a new constitution. Despite challenges, an agreement was reached for multiracial elections. April 27, 1994, was set for the historic vote. The country held its breath, hoping for a peaceful transition. Mandela's release marked the beginning of a new era. The road to democracy was paved with patience and compromise. April 27, 1994, marked South Africa's first democratic election. For millions, it was a moment of claiming dignity and humanity. Long queues formed outside polling stations, a national celebration of freedom. People of all races stood together, waiting patiently to vote. The atmosphere was electric, filled with joy and relief. It was a day of unity, burying apartheid and embracing a shared future. Around 19.6 million South Africans voted, a massive participation rate. Mandela's ANC won decisively, a moral victory against apartheid. The world watched as South Africa transformed through the ballot box. It was a triumph of the human spirit, a new journey for the nation. The impossible became possible, redefining South Africa forever. Hope was the dominant emotion, despite underlying tension. Nelson Mandela became president, tasked with uniting a divided nation. His leadership emphasized reconciliation and forgiveness. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission aimed to heal the nation's wounds. Mandela's vision of a rainbow nation embraced multicultural harmony. He reached out to white South Africans, fostering a shared identity. His symbolic gestures, like embracing the Springbok rugby team, built bridges. Mandela's presidency laid the foundations for a democratic South Africa. His legacy is one of peace, resilience, and forgiveness. South Africa still faces challenges, but Mandela set it on a hopeful path. He showed that even entrenched injustice can be overcome. The work of building an equal society continues, inspired by Mandela's vision.